What do you think is the best-selling spirit in the entire world? It is not whiskey, not vodka, not even tequila. It is a small green bottle quietly standing in the cooler of every neighborhood store in Korea. That bottle is Jinro. Today we will follow the 100-year story of how this familiar little drink became the most bought spirit on the planet. Every year, the British trade magazine Drinks International ranks the best-selling spirits in the world. For 24 years in a row, Jinro has stood at the very top of that list. In 2024 alone, it sold 96.8 million cases. That is more than twice the volume of tequila, one of the most globally famous spirits. What is striking is that this world champion was not built in some grand showroom. It was built one bottle at a time in the most ordinary corner store in Korea, row after row inside an unremarkable cooler. The face of the world's best-selling spirit is in truth the face of a Korean weekday dinner. That everyday story began a century ago in a small brewery in Yonggang South Pyongan province. In 1924, it opened its doors under the name Jincheon Brewery, in an era when Japanese capital dominated the Korean spirits market, making this Korean-owned company a rare and quietly proud venture. The name Jinro means true dew. It was taken straight from the small clear droplets that condense during distillation, a name lifted right out of the still itself. The Jinro toad we all know was not a toad at the very beginning. The first Jinro of 1924 came in a brown glass bottle, a 35% rice distilled soju, and the mascot perched on its label was not a toad but a single bright-eyed monkey. In old Pyongan folk culture, the monkey was loved as a clever creature that almost seemed to understand human speech. This small Pyongan company soon found itself caught in the largest upheaval of the Korean peninsula. When the country was divided and war broke out, Jinro fled to Busan in 1951 and then moved its headquarters to Seoul in 1954. It was the first uncertain step on unfamiliar southern soil. But as soon as Jinro began doing business in Seoul, it ran straight into an unexpected wall. To southerners, the monkey did not feel clever. It felt sly and a little untrustworthy. After a full year of agonizing in 1955, the company finally changed its mascot. The inspiration came from an old Korean phrase, a son as sturdy as a fat little toad. And from those few warm words, the Jinro toad we know today was born. The toad was never just a mascot. In old Korean folklore, the toad is a creature that brings good fortune and prosperity into the home. And above all, the toad is said to live a long life by drinking the cool, clear dew that gathers at dawn. A small dew-drinking spirit sitting on top of a bottle named after dew itself. There could hardly be a more fitting picture. Across 100 years, the soju inside the bottle quietly grew softer. The clearest turning point came in 1965. When food was scarce, the government banned the use of grain for distilling spirits, and Jinro had no choice but to shift from traditional distilled soju to diluted soju. The strength settled at 30 degrees in 1965, then at 25 degrees in 1973, and that 25-degree mark became the standard etched into the Korean palate for an entire quarter century. Then in 1998, Jinro returned with a new name Chamisul and a softer 23 degrees. The phrase true dew that had named the very first bottle a century earlier became the name of a new era. After that, the strength kept gently sliding downward. Chamisul went from 23 to 21 to 19 to 17, and in 2024 finally arrived at 16 degrees. A glass that once carried 35 degrees now carries less than half the burn. The easy softness of the cup you finish at dinner tonight is in truth the slow, patient work of 100 years. This soft little glass has now climbed beyond the Korean table onto tables all over the world. A Korean grocery in New York, an izakaya in Tokyo, a small market in Paris. Each one keeps a row of green Jinro on its shelf. The 24-year world title was built quietly by these small shelves one by one. In 2024, to mark its 100th anniversary, Jinro released a limited edition called Jinro Origin. Inside this bottle that perfectly recreates the 1924 label, there is a small hidden surprise. On some labels sits the toad of today, and on others, the monkey of 100 years ago. A monkey that had to leave Pyongan and a toad that was born in Seoul finally meet again on a single label after a century. Tonight, when you raise a glass of Jinro, both of those small creatures are quietly alive inside it.